I'm Aryeh Schwartz, and welcome to the Winsidr Show, where it's all about the W. The All-Star game is in the past. Shout out to JJ on the MVP. But now the real season begins. The playoff race starts today. So let's dive right in. Before we get into today's show, just a quick reminder, Winsidr is fully independent WNBA coverage, and everything we do is supported by listeners like you. If you enjoy what we're doing here, you can keep it going by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/Winsidr. That's patreon.com/Winsidr with pricing levels for everyone. You're directly supporting the work we put into covering the W year round. We also have a full team producing amazing written coverage over at winsidr.com, plus more content than ever across TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, and YouTube. And if you're in the market for WNBA gear, check the affiliate links in the show notes and on winsidr.com. You rep the league, and Winsidr gets a little help along the way. Excited to be back. Madisyn Cunningham, my co-host for the season. Get a little break. All-Star game is done. We're into the thick of it. I don't know. I was like prepping for this episode and just like looking down the list of the standings, looking down the list of what teams are doing and kind of envisioning what I expect, what I see, whatever. We got a lot to talk about. The season's about to get real crazy. I know we talk about this, I feel like every episode. There's a lot of stuff happening off the court that everyone wants to talk about. There's a lot of amazing stuff happening on the court that we want to talk about. And I do a more natural shameless plug for the Patreon. Audrey and Allie were in Chicago for the All-Star game doing amazing content. You should check it out over on YouTube, TikTok, X, Instagram, all of our different feeds or whatnot. But on Patreon, just published today, recorded a special podcast episode with Audrey just talking about her experience going to the All-Star game and what that was like being in Chicago and all of that. So yeah, back to what we're talking about. The race is on. How are you feeling? Are you excited? Are you nervous? Is this your favorite part of the season, or do you have a different favorite part of the season? And I'm talking regular season.
Yeah. I'm definitely excited just to see how everything shapes out. Obviously we have feedback, which would make things really interesting. Yeah, I'm excited. Um, I do think this is a pretty good part of the season. Like I think you really start to see, like team identities, the trade deadlines coming up. Yeah, I think it'll be a fun time.
We're going to get into all that. Let's start real quick with the Winsidr Show power ranking. Let's just do top 5. We don't need to waste everyone's time and go through a whole 15 list because honestly, like, who cares after a certain amount? But like, let's be real about it. I think the real debate, like when you get deeper into the power ranking, yeah, you get into these arguments of this team beat this team and this team's on a 2-game win streak, but they beat the Blues, whatever it is. Standing wise, this is where the standings lay today. Minnesota with a 2.5 game lead over Golden State, 3-game lead over Vegas. Dallas Wings, 3.5 games out of first place. Indiana Fever, 4.5 games out of first place. So you got Minnesota, Golden State, Vegas, Dallas, Indy. And I'm curious for you, those are the standings. Is that the power rankings to you? Would you do a little shuffle? I'm imagining, what was that like trendy game where people would have like the under the table, the drinks or the hats lined up and you'd have to reshuffle them. I'm feeling like it's kind of like that in your mind. Is this the power ranking and the standings? Or kind of where's your head at?
Yeah, I think it's pretty close for me. I think the only like 2 and 3, like the Valks and the Aces, could be more interchangeable just because the Aces have beat the Valkyries twice this season. And obviously, they have Asia. But I think as of like right now, how what we've seen, it's pretty accurate. But I do think in reality, it probably would go Minnesota Aces, then Valkyries, then Wings and Fever. But other than that, I think it's pretty indicative of what we've seen so far.
I'm with you on that. Power rankings to me are a complicated process because we're looking at it in there's different ways to look at it. It's like MVP, it's like anything else, right? There's no like this is how you should define power rate. So like for me, yes, Minnesota obviously has to be number 1, 7-game win streak, first place in the league, and they're getting feedback. Then we start to talk about, for me, it is so hard for me to not say the Aces.
Mm-hmm.
It like just forget like, and sorry for all the weird noises. Forget like what Asia Wilson has been able to do and all the history and everything like that. It is just so hard to forget that. It's so hard to put that beside us and say, even in this moment, they're not playing as the number two. Because, yeah, I agree with you. Like, look, in the last 10 games, the Valkyries are sitting at 9-1. Minnesota's 8-2. You can make an easy argument of saying the Valkyries could maybe be the number one team if we're looking in that regard. But yeah, so I think fine, cool. When you look at the last 10 games and both teams lost their last game before coming in to All-Star break, fine, cool, tied there. For me, the interesting one is I would kind of bump Indy above Dallas. Now, that is a pure happenstance of them being both 7-3 in the last 10 games. By the way, Vegas 6-4 in the last 10 games. So definitely a reason to drop them a little bit and give GSV the second spot. But Indy, even though, and I'll stand by this, have not been really impressed by them this season, have not seen their best basketball, have not considered them a true contender, where Dallas at times, I feel like maybe we could. These last, the 3-game win streak, I think just get it in this moment. In 3 days, I think Dallas will bump ahead. But in this moment, I would flip Indy and Dallas just because it feels the way Dallas went into All-Star break, and I'll get into this in a moment, it feels like we're seeing the same problems of like the last 5 years rear their ugly head again. And so we'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah, that's just my take. I mean, it's a power ranking. Who cares? All right. Let's move on to one big question for each playoff team. So this time we're going to go with a lot of teams. I'm going to pose a question, like the biggest thing that's on my mind. If you agree with it, want to expand on that, great. If you have a different question that's kind of popped into your mind, great. And we'll just start and go on down. We're going the 8 teams that as of today, July 28th, are sitting in the playoffs. We'll start right now with the Minnesota Lynx. My question for them is, can they still play their best ball, or is this team doomed to drop off?
Yeah, I think honestly, for me, I think they can still play like their best. I still feel like we might not have seen their best. I mean, like B's first game back, 24-10. That like it's scary hours, right? And like I feel like there's been a bunch of times and during the season where we've like, okay, they're gonna drop off because it's just like mathematically, it's like kind of how it works. But we've been wrong every time. So then, like, why say it now, especially when they have feedback? Like, obviously, they have things to figure out, like, like in terms of sharing the ball. They have a lot of players that play well with the ball in their hands, but it's like Olivia Miles, like, she's so good because of how she can share the ball that I think we're bound to still see some of their best basketball in the second half of the season.
And to add on to that, like early season when we kept expecting them to drop off, while I completely agree with you, we've been made to look fools because we keep saying like, oh, they're going to drop off and they never do. The defense has dropped off. The defense went from historically great to being bad, like the worst in the league almost. So you bring Fee in, she's an amazing defender and she's not going to allow her team to play bad defense. So that obviously adds to what you're saying. Okay, Golden State Valkyries, excuse me. I always go singular. I don't know why. Are the Valkyries built for playoff basketball? That's the biggest question for me. What about for you?
Yeah, I think that is the question. Like, they're still new, they still don't have like an established star as much as the Lynx, the Aces, the Wings, the Fever. But yeah, I think that as of right now, I think they are. Like I think defense is obviously really important in the playoffs. Like stopping a team's best player is what the Valkyries do. And in playoff basketball, like when the best players are really shining at their greatest, if you can stop them, like you can win against anyone. And I also think like um if they end up hosting a series, then they're definitely built for playoff basketball. Like Ball Halla, you can go to a Tuesday night game and it feels like playoff basketball. So I honestly feel like in a playoff setting, that would really pose issues for opposing teams, and it would be awesome.
Yeah, I would if I was a WNBA team, I would do anything and all possibility, even throwing a game, just so that you don't have to match up in the seeding to play
Yeah,
them first round playoffs. That is whoo. I'm with you on that. And if you're in town for that, bring some headphones.
I would be.
Bring some
Yeah.
earplugs. Yeah, bring some headphones, bring some earplugs. We'll be there. All right, Las Vegas Aces. For me, like the biggest question. There's two questions in my mind when it comes to Vegas. Smallest question is, can everybody else play good enough that you have a chance? And then the biggest question is, can Asia Wilson stay healthy? If Asia Wilson stays healthy, like the bar for her teammates is so low. And I'm not saying that in an insulting way. It's just that's how good she is. Can she stay healthy? If she stays healthy, we're talking about a team that's likely the favorite come playoff time.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I mean, there aren't many questions. I mean, obviously, like, with like the new, like, there could be locker room stuff. I really don't think it's that, like, that stuff has already been looming for the whole season and they've been doing fine. I like, just because we're now being privy to it, I think that stuff has probably been happening for a while in there, and they clearly can play through it. So I think, yeah, like, that's not really going to be that much of a factor. I do think it is the health. And I do feel like Asia has been so durable during her career that there is a very high likelihood that she will be healthy enough. Obviously, this year, like, she had to sit out some games, which is like some of the first in her entire career. But I think, if she's able to do what she's been doing for the whole time she's been in the league, then they'll be great.
That's always the thing with players like that who like have those long stands of never being hurt or whatever.
Hmm.
And you're like, oh, I don't know. For me, because I get a little superstitious, I'm like, you can't assume
Yeah,
the moment you assume they're going to be healthy, that's when it all falls.
yeah.
But when you go into it with those, the tippy toes, that's just me. Okay, Dallas. I'm going to be real. My biggest question for Dallas, um, and maybe for people who've been listening for a while, you think it's going to be especially one player focused. It's not. I'm just going to quote head coach Jose from the beginning of the season. I think it was like the second game of the season, and everyone thought it was crazy for bringing that up. But do you want individual awards and to get your normal shots up and your numbers and your stats, or do you want to win? That's my biggest question. This team has the talent. They got this. They have the vet presence. They have the youth movement. They have a coach who is an elite basketball mind. You have the roster. Do you want it?
Yeah.
That's it for me.
No, yeah, definitely. And I also think just part of what that leads to is like the defense. Like, Jess Shepard has had an amazing season, but like on the defensive end, like she hasn't been, that impactful. And we talk so much about how this is a bigs league. So when you get to that playoff basketball, like, what she's doing is amazing, but she will have to, like, step it up just a little bit. Like, if I mean, honestly, I was gonna say if they get paired against the Aces, but they beat them twice. But so maybe actually, maybe it's not that big of a deal. But again, playoff basketball, everything looks different. So
No, I'm with you on that. Okay, moving on to the Indiana Fever. My question was gonna be, can they become a contender? But as I was thinking about this the past 10 minutes or so, I guess, 14 minutes, I guess, as we've been recording, honestly, my biggest question, and I apologize, like, I'm just gonna say what's on my mind. I'm gonna keep it real. Can Caitlin Clark become a top 2 player for their team? I brought this up before. Right now, and I mean this in a very simplistic sense. Aaliyah Boston's been playing great basketball. Talked about that last episode. Kelsey Mitchell has been playing insane basketball. Probably have not talked about that enough this season. But, and I stand by this, if this team is going to be a true contender and to win it all, and that's what they want, okay, can you block it? Blocking out all the noise is one thing. You still have to play the basketball. And when they're playing the basketball, I haven't seen the best basketball, and I haven't seen Caitlin Clark rise to the level of Olivia Miles or Paige Beckers or, Chelsea Gray when she went on that insane playoff run that one year, or Sue Bird. And when we talk about teams winning championships, and this is coming from somebody who I will die on the hill that the greatest basketball player of all time is Simone Augustus. There is no argument about that in my mind. But if you want to win a championship, you need your point guard and your big to lead the way. That's just my take. That's just my thought. What about you? Bigger question for Indiana in your mind?
No, yeah. I mean, I definitely agree. I think it is just like, can the Fever play how they should be playing on paper, or like what the expectations have been? Like, a lot of the talk about the team is like, will they win a championship, right? Like, it's like that's what the goal is, right? So like you said, it's kind of like your original question, like, can they do that? Which is like a pretty simple question, but it does come down to like, yeah, can Caitlin Clark like step up to be, yeah, like the player for this team, or at least like, one of the two players for the team. And I think, yeah, blocking out the noise. I don't know. I really don't know. Yeah, we'll see. I think, like you said, it's kind of just like, can they become a contender? Can they reach that higher level of teams
with consistency too? Because
Mhm.
and we can do, well, trust me, we'll talk about the Fever more in a couple episodes down the road. Atlanta Dream sitting at 6th place at 16-10 at the point of this recording. Where I'm at with the Dream is, look, first of all, disappointed, because let's be real, they shouldn't be sitting at 6th place. 16-10 isn't horrible, but like, if I'm being honest, the Fever should not be above them. The Wings shouldn't be above them. And no shade towards the Valkyries, but like, you should be competing with them, even if they're having a great season. Atlanta Dream, you've had a lot of individual success. Alicia Clark's been amazing this season. Ryan Howard, you got that chip on your shoulder. Angel Reese has been doing some amazing stuff. But again, it's been individual success. And I'm not putting this on Angel Reese in any way, shape, or form, but I would point to how she has, in her WNBA career, obviously she was in Chicago, so she's kind of screwed anyways, but she's had individual success and not team success. And I've seen Ryan Howard have individual success and not team success. I've seen that. Well, Jordan Canna's had team success, so she knows how to get it done. Alicia Clark, also individual, not team success in the W. And so for me, what I want to see with this team, obviously adding Bree Jones back, is I want to see team success, not individual stat lines. And this is different from Dallas, where I think it's, you need the players' mentality to change when it comes to that. I think the mentality in Atlanta is there. We just have only seen individual success. And I'm not standing here claiming to know where to point the finger. I'm just saying we need to see team success, not individual success.
No, yeah, I totally agree. And I also think it comes back to the consistency piece that we were talking about with the Fever. Like, there are games where they look like they will win the championship, and there are games where they look like they'll be out of the playoffs, right? And like, I think, like,
sometimes in one game, sometimes
yes,
both of those in one game.
So there needs to be like that consistency, and I think like that type of stuff happens a lot with teams that shoot a lot of threes as well, which is like, always an issue. But I think, yeah, just like getting to a point of consistency where they can compete with top teams on any night. Like, obviously, like, they're kind of a team that does well against, for the most part, does well against bad teams, does poorly against good teams, which is fine enough to be the 6th seed, right? Maybe you can even get to 5th with that. But when it gets to playoffs, like, it's all the top teams, right? So you have to be consistent and be able to compete with anyone on any night. So yeah, I totally agree. Like, the individual success, like, they had 3 All-Stars. Their players have been playing great, but it has to be more well-rounded, and it has to be on a night-by-night basis.
I'm with you. Moving on to your current hometown team, New York Liberty. I feel like it's, I mean, some people will point to health. Some people will point to this. Some people want that. To me, it's just like, can they flip the switch? You're a super team. You have the talent. You have the roster. You've won a championship. You have multiple MVPs. You have multiple faces of shoe brands and marketing and podcasts and all the things. Like, it's a super team. can you flip the switch? Can you turn it on? Because it ain't been on this season, except for like that first week when we were talking hot or not. But besides that, yeah. What about you?
Yeah, it's just like I don't know what's going on. Like, like I feel like first of all, the Phoebich and Sabali, like Satu Sabali injuries have been really obviously devastating for this team, especially Satu, because we don't know what's happening with like the framing of injuries in the Liberty organization this year, but I feel like they're downplaying a lot. Like, it was Thornet. First of all, with Sabrina, she was out for a long time. And for a while they were just saying, "Oh, it's just soreness. It's just soreness." Then it was like she was out for like 3 weeks, right? And it's like same with Satu. Like, okay, it was concussion protocol, but that happened a while ago, and she hasn't seen the floor since. She didn't travel with the team. Like, they're in LA today. She's not there with them. I think Phoebich did travel with them, but she is still out. So I think the injuries, they might be a lot worse than we think they are. And I'm not saying that they're doing anything like shady, like they're like hiding it on purpose, but like it's just like they need to build that chemistry and have a consistent lineup to flip the switch. And at this point, it's like, when will they get the opportunity to do that? Because I expected at least Satu to be back by now, and I would like to see how she's playing with Sabrina, with Stewie, with JJ in this system. But we might not see that until like the playoffs time, or which that's not really a great time to add such a ball dominant piece back into a lineup, right?
Mhm.
So I think like yeah, like I think flipping the switch depends on just getting everything sorted out. Like we still have Benijah Laney Hamilton not playing. She like maybe she'll get traded, maybe not. We still have all these pieces that we're not seeing how they're playing together. So it's just I don't know. Like I think a lot of it is just outside factors that they have no control over, but also when they are playing, there should be some control over, lineups and just like consistency and effort. That I think since like the last two games before the break, they're trending upwards, but we have to see that, be sustained. Um, yeah, it's really confusing over there.
I know. It's like with them, I'm almost like, all right, am I ready to make the crazy hot take that they're not going to make the playoffs? Because, but I like, yeah, that's a crazy take. Like, I don't believe it. But also, then you start looking at who their remaining schedule is, and you're like, oh, yeah, they don't have the toughest of schedule remaining. Minnesota once, Valkyries once, Vegas twice, Fever twice, Atlanta twice. That's not the easiest. But then the easy opponents they're playing is LA twice, where yeah, they're pretty crap defensively, but like they're gonna be making a playoff push, right?
Mm.
Toronto, the Mercury, they're gonna be making playoff push. Seattle's not a slump. Like, even though their record's horrible, like they're putting up fights. So this is not just a okay, now we can kind of flip the switch, whatever, boom, boom, boom. Okay, last team in this segment, DC. My question for them, being a young team, they have the talent, but do they have the ability to succeed in those moments where experience comes in handy? Like,
Mhm.
lack of experience is an amazing tool. And honestly, I would say we could talk about that a little bit with Indiana also. But with DC, like, you are the second youngest team of all time in league history. At one point, they were the youngest. Now there's whatever. It doesn't matter. Point is this is a young team, lots of success, sitting in eighth seed, and they are going to have a heavyweight bout to make the playoffs, because
Mhm.
that, like, the eighth seed is the hardest seed typically because it just gets intense. All the teams pushing for that last spot. That's the only seed. They win 4 games. They win 3 more games. If they win that one game, they can make it. All right. What's your DC question?
No, yeah, I think it's the same. Um, like you said, like being young has advantages and disadvantages, and I think that that's something that maybe they could think about when with the trade deadline coming up. Like if you could just add one piece, that's because I think they're like, isn't there like vet like their oldest player like Shakira Austin right now, or like
It
I don't
was, but is Michaela Onyenwere
know. Okay,
slightly older?
and
But
even
yeah,
then she's pretty young. So if they could like I don't know bring in one piece that's like really experienced just to be like that vet presence in the locker room, like we could be having a very different conversation about them, right? So yeah, I definitely agree that it's just about the youth and the inexperience. They definitely have the talent to be there. They obviously have 2 all-stars on their roster. They're very great players. It just depends on like discipline and inexperience. Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, like with it'll be interesting to see if they make moves before because they've been pretty steadfast in like our systems working,
Mhm.
our reconstruction or our regrowth or whatever you want to call it is working. So do they want and they have tools to make some great offseason moves, but do they want to do that now for this season or do they want to wait a little bit longer? It'll be very telling what they do, which is the perfect segue to trade deadline check in just real quickly. The biggest headline, obviously, has maybe this isn't obvious for some, but Minnesota, Cheryl Reeve openly talked about looking to make moves, said that they've been in open season receiving calls and making calls all year long. But the craziest thing for me, shout out to Andrew Dukowitz, the Duke of Linkstown, friend of the pod, who put out yesterday, I believe, what Reeve has been able to do with this roster construction of at this basically when we get to the trade deadline, she can make a move or arguably not make a move, but they can make a move after, the way that she's been, I'm taking way too long on this, I apologize. The way she's been working players from the developmental to a 7-day contract to a regular contract to back to a 7-day to a developmental has basically set themselves up. So now they can move Hamzova to a developmental contract if they want to off of her third 7-day. And then they would have the ability to put Emma, who got injured early on, many Lynx fans will remember, third game of the season, on an injury. Then her salary joins the cap. So they are now able for the remainder of the season, Minnesota, to essentially be in a situation to pay 3 times the vet minimum for the remainder of the season, which means now you start thinking about players like a Emma Meesum and maybe she would come over. Or, because the question is trade deadline. Are they going to make a trade or are they going to make this move and just do an outright signing or maybe shop a player who hasn't been producing as much, maybe a Dorka Juhas who has a lot of upside. And then the other person everyone obviously has their eyes on, Benajelani Hamilton. Been a lot of chatter about that. I don't think it's calming down anytime soon. We will check in on that repeatedly. If there's anybody else who we're missing, comment on the show in Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever you're listening. Comment. Tell us who we should be talking about more. Okay, award talk real quickly. Which award do you think is truly up for grabs? It seems like Rookie of the Year and MVP are locked in. Between Coach of the Year, Defense Player of the Year, Most Improved, which award do you think is truly up for grabs today?
Yeah, I think MIP is probably the most up for grabs. Like, I think obviously Coach of the Year, there's like a few options, but it's still like within those few options, right? Same with Defensive Player of the Year. I think I would probably say it's between Asia and Gabby. Yeah. But MIP, obviously there's Jess Shepard. I think she probably is the front runner right now. But I think Caitlin Chen is making a great push for that award. She's been amazing. Yeah, I also think Sixth Player of the Year. I think that's kind of more locked. I think that's kind of also pretty locked in. Well, I don't know if I'm biased, but I think Janelle Salon has like she's the leading scorer for bench players. She's the second leading scorer of the Valkyries. She's obviously having a great season. But I think Sixth Player of the Year and a Most Improved Player have a bit more wiggle room than the others.
I'm with you on that. Yeah. Defense Player of the Year is a tough one. I honestly don't even think about it until we get towards that place of the season. I totally forgot about Sixth Woman, so thanks for bringing that up. Okay, and then to close out, just some hot take predictions, quick fire. All the teams that are currently in the playoffs: Minnesota, Golden State, Vegas, Dallas, Indy, Atlanta, New York, DC. If playoffs start today, which of those teams will not win a playoff game? I'll tell you, New York. That's who I'm going with. All right, go.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to see who would be matched up with who. So New York would be against the Valkyries.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could actually see that. They're like 2-0 against them in the season, and I definitely could see that. Yeah, I feel like the easy choice would be to say DC, but they've already beat the Lynx once, and I feel like they really could shock. Like, especially as an 8th seed, I feel like that would actually be the perfect place for them to shock the 1 seed and get a win. Yeah, I'd say probably New York. I do think Ace's dream could be kind of tough for the Dream. I know they'd had that really close game against them, like first 5 games of the season or something. I forgot which one that was, but yeah, I'd say probably either the Liberty or the Dream.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And I'll say this to your point on DC, Minnesota, they split. They went 1-1, I believe, but Minnesota had no business winning that game. They won. I was there. They were dominated the whole game. All right, hot take prediction, finals matchup. I'm going Minnesota, Las Vegas. But but like the hot take, I would say Dallas versus Golden State. But yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I'd probably also say Minnesota and Las Vegas. Um, yeah, I could see the Valkyries slipping in there. Like I said before, like with that defense, if Gabby Williams has a great playoffs like offensively, and they play their defense, like I do think they will be a really tough team to beat. So that would be really cool. But yeah.
Any player you're expecting a big second half of the season for them? Obviously, Fee didn't have a first half of the season, had 1 game. So anybody else in your mind? A player that kind of comes to mind for me, just because I'm a big storyline person, got completely overlooked when it came to the All-Star game. Ryan Howard. I expect a big second half from Ryan Howard. Shooting it over to your side.
Yeah, I'll go with Sabrina Ionescu. I think, she had that time off and she had a rough stretch when she came back. But recently she's been obviously amazing. Like she's one of the clutchest players in the league, and she's playing like it this season. Hopefully the Liberty will be in less clutch game situations where they need those performances, but she has shown up, like the Commissioner's Cup game against the Sky, against the Wings recently. Yeah, I think the Liberty need that from her, and I think I'll say yeah, she'll do it. I think she'll perform. Hopefully, I think if the Liberty are gonna turn it around, it obvious because Stewie has I feel like Stewie's already been doing everything right. Like you can't really ask much more of Stewie. So I think that if this team is gonna turn it around, it will be on the back of Sabrina Ionescu.
No, I'm completely with you on this. Like I saw some clip or quote or something from Stewie being like, talking about the struggles. I don't know if she was on a different show or it's her show. And she said something to the effect of like, I'm not the type of person to look outwards to my teammates. I'm looking inwards to make myself better. And I'm like, that's great, Stewie. But at some point you got to pull the Asia Wilson and text the group chat and be like, don't show up because like Stewie, you can only do so much. And, you're not Stewie from 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And I'm not saying that in any way other than like there's less abilities that you have in terms of taking the full brunt of the weight of the team on that. And so that's why you're on a super team. You need other people to show up. You need Sabrina to hit that insane, those 2 threes she hit in that last game before. Was it the last game or 2 games before? Though, I mean,
the Sky was crazy.
First of all, Chicago Sky. Oh my God. How do you blow that game?
Yeah, that was Sydney Taylor was playing amazing. I don't know how they wasted that performance from her.
Up 8 with 54 seconds left, or up 5 with 54 seconds left, 58 seconds left. You completely blow it. Turnovers. Look, I'm not even gonna blame you for Sab hitting those shots because like,
she was honestly guarded. Like the one in the corner, she was
insane. Like, why is she even shooting that? Like,
I know. I literally was like, why would you shoot that? Then it went in, and I was like, you know what? This is why I'm not there. This is why you're on the court, not me.
As this is like a ridiculous comparison, but as a Minnesota Vikings fan, this past year, the field goal kicker like 2 or 3 times hit, like, how they have like the drone on the string, or, like the camera, twice hit it and it flew and they missed it and they lost because of it. And when that shot went up, because that arch I was like, oh my God, that's going to hit something.
Yeah.
Like it hit something. It hit nothing. It hit the ground after it went through that hoop.
Yeah.
And I will say, close out this episode, no, we're running a little long. Seattle Storm, I feel like could have multiple players, or forget a player, just as a team. Yeah. I think we're going to see a lot of success from the Seattle Storm. But I kind of want to see Coach Sonia get into this team a little bit more. I
Mhm.
want to see her yell at them a little bit. I
Yeah.
want to see her show a little more passion. But yeah, this team is growing. They're young. They obviously had fun at All-Star. And I think they're definitely moving on up. Any final thoughts for you?
No, yeah, I definitely agree about the Storm. I think obviously Malonga, Flage. Yeah, I think it'll be great to see. They've definitely showed some flashes. Like honestly, looking at their record is really shocking. Like they've only won like 6 games. It feels like they've won more, probably because each of the games they've won have been against really great teams. So yeah, I definitely think they'll have a great second half of the season.
Close out this episode. Just want to thank everyone for listening and supporting independent WNBA coverage. Winsidr and a lot of other independent outlets have been doing this a long time, and it only works because of you and this community. So thank you. Tell your friends, subscribe, listen, like, comment, interact with us. We want to talk about the things you want us to talk about. I want, tell me a hot take or an idea, and I'll tell you why you're wrong. And Madisyn will tell me why I'm wrong, and it'll be glorious and fun and all that jazz. Have a good one. We'll see you next week.